to get started on the NSPIRE project highlights and future plans. Some of you might have heard of Procorem Inspect. We've probably been talking with you, and you've probably received some emails from me about it. So we're really excited to show you how far we've come. Today, I'm going to be speaking. My name's Connor. I'm the Director of Product Strategy. I've served as project manager on this project. And then my boss here, BK, our CTO, is also going to be here. He's really the knower of all things when it comes to this project. So he'll help me with any questions. And there's some future roadmap items that we're currently working on. Okay, so we've done a lot. So the first section is going to take quite a bit of time, 25 minutes, and we're just going to go over all of the different features that we have created, and it's going to be kind of informal. If you have questions, just speak up, please, raise your hand. But this is supposed to be more conversational, so like that. And then we're going to talk about Procorem Inspect and ProLinkHFA. How you schedule inspections, create inspections, look at your historical inspections, and generate that inspection report. Moving on, we're going to have our in-progress items. There's only a few, but they're really important, so we want to get into those. And then we'll have our feedback from the beta clients. So this will be a really conversational piece and get our beta clients, how they've experienced the app and any feedback they might have. Then we got some go live dates. Okay, so as you heard in the beginning, this was built in response to last year's user group conference. It's a huge conference for ProLink. We invested in building this new app for everybody. So it's really important that you're all here, and we really thank you for being here. We developed a mobile inspection app specifically for the NSPIRE standards. We had some NSPIRE inspection functionality within ProLinkHFA, but we decided to go with mobile because as you're inspecting a property, it's probably easier to use your cell phone or your tablet or your iPad to take some pictures, right? One thing that people also really like is the talk to text feature when you're taking notes, because you can just talk to the device, which is awesome. We can't take credit for that, but people really like it. So it is compatible with iPads and Android tablets right now, iPhones and Androids coming soon. And then it seamlessly integrates with Procorem and ProLinkHFA. So what this means is your property portfolio will be loaded into the application. So that's really nice for starting an inspection or pulling old inspection data. Maybe it's a multi-day inspection. So we're going to dig into that as well. All right. Oh, I actually have a couple of things I want to talk about. So you see two screens up here. One probably looks like a login screen to you. So that's going to be how you log into Procorem Inspect. It actually uses your Procorem credentials. So if you don't have a Procorem account, then you can't log into Procorem Inspect. It ties directly in with your Procorem account. And that's how we do a lot of all the data syncing between Procorem, ProLinkHFA, etc. Once you log in, you're going to see a drop down of your different Procorem accounts. Most of you, I'm guessing, have one Procorem account for your agency, but you might have multiple. And so in that case, you're going to select, whatever Procorem account you might need to log into. Yeah.
It'd only be the accounts that have Procorem Inspect turned on.
Yes, yeah, it has to be enabled for that Procorem account to turn on. And one other thing on this login page, it also supports the two-step verification codes that we recently added. So once you enable that on your account, you'll have to enter those here in the app. And yeah.
Single sign-on.
Single sign-on is on the roadmap, so coming, but not in there yet.
Trying to miss your flow.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just thinking maybe we should do Face ID too. Sounds pretty nice.
It also does the password expiration too, so all those fun things. Same thing.
right, so this is your homepage. The first thing you're going to see, so all this data is fetched directly from ProLinkHFA here. Okay, so as long as you're signed up with ProLinkHFA and you have your inspections in your property portfolio, anything that's scheduled or in progress is going to pop up on your homepage. You'll see the little completed bar too. So if you want to look at the past inspections that are already completed, you can review those. So from here, there's a few different options. You're going to be able to click that hamburger menu, and we're just going to go over this part first. We're going to come back to the home page, but you can click on the manage all properties within your portfolio, and that's where you're going to see a long list of all the properties. From here, you're going to be able to click on a property and you can start an inspection on the fly for that property. You can also dig into that property and review past and existing inspections. And in a second, I'm going to show you, you can see the building unit mix as well. Any questions? Okay, so from here, pretend like we just clicked on one of those properties, and here you're going to see some high-level property information at the top, the address, the number in your portfolio, the type of property, etc. And then you'll see those different inspections. You'll see the historical inspections, ones that's complete, some that are maybe ones in progress, or one that's scheduled. And like I said, you can start a new inspection there. Below that, you'll find your building makeup, the different addresses to the different buildings, how many stories they are, what type of building it is, etc. And then if you click into one of those buildings, that's where you're going to see the units, the unit makeup. So this is good if maybe you're on your way to an inspection and you want to review the property that you're going to because you're reviewing 100 different properties that year. And so you want to familiar yourself with the layout.
I was just thinking about that. I think we did add the bin.
It does say number.
This might be from the figure mock. So
Oh, this could,
I
okay.
think we do have the bin number.
So you have the building name and then the bin number and then the address.
Yeah, we have the bin as well. We've been developing like crazy on this over the last year, so it's hard to keep track of which page is which. Okay, moving on. All right, so back to the home page here. The other thing that's really useful as functionality is you're going to be able to click on that hamburger menu and jump into settings. And from this settings page, this is a lot of kind of the debugging we've been doing with our beta clients a little bit. Sometimes we'll roll out an update and you'll be loading the app on your phone or your tablet, and there'll be like a missync between the two, and you might not be able to access those templates. And so right now, as a workaround, you're able to delete and refresh that data, which is really useful, if you're current beta client testing. You can also delete the account data, and you're able to view error logs just in case. And so this page is kind of primarily for our beta clients in the room or attending online. Okay, back to the home page again. This is pretend like we clicked on one of those properties, one of those scheduled inspections. This is where you're going to see that inspection makeup here. You're going to be able to load them, of course, and manage and add inspectable areas. So this is a use case we got from our beta client feedback, where sometimes you'll show up to a property and there's an extra building on there that wasn't recorded in your property makeup portfolio, the information you already had. So you need to add that building when you're on site. So that's something that we used. And then also you're going to have support here for multiple inspectors. So maybe there's a few of you doing inspection at the same time, and you guys need to do one person goes to one building and one person goes to another building. You're able to kind of separate and then merge the inspection later on. This gives you a breakdown of inspection findings. So that's another thing about this screenshot is not all these tabs are actually going to be available at launch. But the findings tab will be, and that'll give you kind of an overview of all the findings you might have already recorded. And then an offline mode. So, sometimes there's some properties, I think, some low-income properties, in Colorado that are in the mountains, and maybe you don't have the best service, or maybe you're in the basement and you're reviewing like the utility room. So having an offline mode is another feature we have here that, was I think really important to a lot of the beta clients. What's up?
That's a great feature with the support for multiple inspectors. Have you, in your testing, run into problems with where someone may have inspected a unit that another person may have inspected already? And in terms of kind of merging, is it going to take the last one on and right when you merge it, or?
Okay, that's a good question, because we just released the merging functionality, I think last week, right? Yeah, so I don't know if anybody's had a chance to test that yet. Probably not, just our QA. So that's an issue that's a situation we haven't run into yet. Right now, you have the option to overwrite the existing inspection or merge the inspection in.
Okay, so we'll probably take the one with that's timestamp, the later timestamp too.
Right. So right now, like the process I see it being is, okay, you'd coordinate with your fellow inspector, right? And maybe have them upload first, and then you would merge yours into theirs instead of overriding each other's.
Yeah, I'll have to double check on if it was the same unit
Yeah,
that two different people were inspecting on that same inspection, what happens? It probably is the
Yeah.
last one.
like unintentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
last
You
one.
wouldn't assign that to happen. That would be like a oopsie.
Yeah, exactly.
who Did this
Mhm.
unit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now, if you had, a set of 10 units for one inspector and 10 for another, it'll merge those two sets of 10 units into
Yeah,
20
20.
units on your overall inspection. I'll have to verify what it does if they're the same.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions here?
I guess I just have a clarifying one. So with adding buildings, like if you go to an inspection and you're missing is that also how we are suggesting, like if you show up and there's a garage or some other like separate, it might not be units, but it might need to be included in the inspection. Is that how they would add? Or
That'd be a custom template.
that'd be a different thing. Okay, I just wanted to verify.
Okay, so we're gonna jump in. So say we clicked on one of those areas, we'll do an outside inspection on building 4. One thing that we've done here is instead of having I think it's like 156 line items, just displayed, we've organized by category. So here you'll see address and signage will be 2. Chimneys obviously 1. You'll jump into electrical and there's 10 different items there. And so what you can do, this helps kind of organize. Maybe there's no chimney, and you just want to click no findings, and that'll check that off as no findings. Or maybe, in the handrail guardrail, who knows, maybe, it's all on one level. You can click NA, there's no handrail. And so that'll check off all of those sub line items there. However, when you click into those, then you'll see a breakdown of all the different line items within that category. And this is where you're gonna, do your line by line inspection. You'll have no findings, NA, or add a finding. And if you want to add a finding, that's where you'll see on your third page here, maybe we needed to add a finding on the fire extinguisher. And this is where this one's automatically going to be marked as life-threatening, and then the current standard correction time frame for that is 24 hours. However, we can make that configurable for your particular agency if you want to change that. That'll happen in the custom templates, which we'll talk about later. And then there's going to be location. So one thing from user feedback is instead of having to type out the location, people are thinking maybe a drop down of common locations and then an other for more of a custom. So maybe the fire extinguishers under your kitchen sink or in the pantry or something. So we can just have you be able to select that instead of type that off. However, you could just talk to the device too, so that could be pretty easy. And then the notes, this is where people like to talk to the device. And for photos, you can either take the photo with the device, or you can just add it to your gallery and save it and then upload it later. For the offline mode, just keep note that is all going to be stored locally initially if you're in offline mode, and then it'll sync up to the cloud, once you get internet connection and want to upload the inspection. So if you've got a bunch of videos and stuff, depending on what device you are using, you might want to just keep note of that, keep track of that, delete some before you keep on adding them. Oh yeah, as many as the device can hold. And
I mean, for each item.
oh yeah, you can add multiple photos. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this is where we're going to dive into completing inspectable areas. So right now, what we're doing is if you finish the inspection of that area and you click complete area, it's automatically going to mark all of the remaining categories as NA, not applicable. So it's going to assume that you inspected the full area. And if you recall, oh, wait, I forgot to double check the railing, or I forgot to double check something, you can always mark it as incomplete and go back to. Once you complete the area, you can submit the inspection, upload, or once you complete all of the areas, you can submit and upload the inspection of ProLinkHFA. I've got a few more slides on that. We'll dig into that part later. But once you do submit the inspection, it's going to remove it from the scheduled or in progress homepage and move that inspection into the completed tab. Okay, so here we're jumping into the upload. So right now, if you're not merging an inspection, you're just gonna be able to, click complete inspection. Do you want to upload this? You click the upload inspection, and you're gonna see the progress bars underneath. So there'll be a breakdown of how many photos you have, or in all of the inspection data. And you'll get a little check mark once that's uploaded. Any questions here? Okay. Jump it down into merging. So when you're partnered on an inspection with someone, here when you click complete inspection, you're going to have two options. You can overwrite all the inspection data, or you can merge the inspectable areas. So that's, hypothetically speaking, in an ideal situation, everyone's assigned their own area that they're going to be inspecting. So, so there'd be assigned those units or those outside areas, buildings, or inside building areas. And so it'll be merging all those areas together when you're done. Same thing, you're going to get a, successfully uploaded data to HFA. That'll count your inspection data and your photos. Oh, and one thing too, I forgot to mention is I'm gonna use my mouse here so I can show you. This is your progress bar of the inspection. And you'll be able to see that during your inspection as you complete the different areas. So if you're, I don't know, if you're on site and you're like, how much longer is this gonna take? You can kind of check. Okay, yeah, and then on this one, on the other one, you can overwrite all of the inspection data.
In terms of merging with another inspection, do you have to be in on a Wi-Fi network, or will it work on like 5G if you're?
Yeah, I think, yeah, right. It'll work as long as you have internet connection.
Internet connection.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're trying to upload a bunch of pictures on a cell signal, it may take a while.
Yeah.
So you can do it. You can do it later on
Yeah.
in a Wi-Fi environment in
Right.
separate locations.
Yep. Yeah.
Both devices would have to be on the Wi-Fi, right? Even if they're separate locations, they both have.
I mean, you don't have to be on Wi-Fi if you have really fast cellular connection.
Right,
You can use that too, but I would recommend Wi-Fi. Yeah, just for more stable connection. One note too on both of these options for overriding and merging, even if you do the merge, that's gonna merge your areas, but it's going to, like if you did an upload twice in a row, it's gonna replace all the findings that you found on a particular area with the ones that are from the device. So it's gonna like delete all those, re-upload and re-upload the pictures for that particular area. So the device is kind of the source of truth until you finally do that upload. So if you had two findings the first time you sent it up and then you change your mind and you removed one of those and do it again, you'll just have one finding of the system when you've done that second upload.
Okay, anything else? All right. We're gonna jump into Procorem Inspect and ProLinkHFA. So this is after you've completed the inspection, kind of the story is, you've uploaded or merged all the inspection data. This is where you're going to find yourself. I think that you guys can see that pretty clearly. So on the left side, you're going to have your property selected. And then down in the nav bar there on the left, you're going to see the inspections. And so this is where you can click on any inspections that you might have completed or scheduled. Once you click into an inspection, that's going to bring you into kind of the general the inspection main page. And from here, you're going to have a few different options. A lot of those options are going to be ones that you had in the app. For instance, you can jump into the areas tab and create new areas. You can assign the inspection. You can go into findings, see a breakdown of the findings, any notes for follow-up, upload files, all the things. And then, but the one thing I do want to call out here is this is where you're going to generate your inspection report right now. So if you click in the top right, that you'll see the inspection findings report. So once you've completed the inspection and you want to view that report or download it and send it out, click that button. And this is an example of the report right here. Each one of these would be like a separate page. So it'd come up as a PDF document, and you have, your top, it's going to have, right, this says ProLinkHFA, but it'll be, your logo, your HFA, your agency information. It'll, be titled inspection findings. It won't be titled Procorem Inspect Demo 1. It'll be most likely the title of the the property you are at. And this is going to have a breakdown, a few things. So total units at the top, the HFA number, when you did it, the fiscal year, inspection date, so on and so forth. It'll have all the inspector information, contact info, email, phone. And then you'll have the inspection summary. This is mostly going to be just which findings you had. So the count will likely be a lot higher than one, or maybe not. Maybe it's really good inspection. And count of any life-threatening findings, since those are really the most important ones we want to look out for, and any items that weren't corrected and we need to follow up on. After that, it'll break up into different sections. It'll have some more detail about each finding. So we'll have, unit area first. And this will be, can you guys see that okay? Yeah, probably. Okay. So you'll see the category. This one was in the ceiling. In the notes on the inspection item, ceiling has a hole, the severity of it, location. Just like you saw on that previous page, you're kind of just filling all that information out. And then this is displaying in the report, when you're adding a finding. And then it'll have your different sections here, the one for the inside areas and the one for the outside areas. And after all of those sections, then we're going to start showing those photos. And those photos are going to be in different pages, okay, below everything. And so each one of these photos at the top is going to have unit area building 1-128, and that's going to correlate with the finding. At the top, you'll see in the unit area building 1-128 right there. Can everyone see that? Okay, so that's how you're going to track when you have your different photos of, which photo goes with which finding. Does that look good to everybody? Does people like that report kind of format, or? Yeah.
Is that auto-populated on the picture? So if I take a picture in the app,
of, a hole in the ceiling.
Yeah.
It'll auto populate unit, blah, blah, blah.
Right,
It will. So I don't have to, when I upload it to
right.
Procorem, I don't have to laser it.
No, because you're gonna be in that area, in that, doing the inspection. And so it already has all the information of, if it's a unit inspection, it'll know which unit is tied to that photo. And then it also knows which line item and category is tied to that photo as well. So that's all gonna be automatically generated. Okay. Oh, oh, gotcha.
Like later.
Yeah, like move the photo from the. Well, I think what the process would be right now is you take that photo, and then you just add it to your gallery on the device and then maybe send it to the other inspector on the property and say, hey, remember this, and they could just uncomplete the area like we showed before, if they've already completed it, and then just like add it to the findings. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Okay, so this is another really cool data view. This is down, so on the left side nav bar, we've got the property selected, and you jump into the data view section of ProLinkHFA. This is where you're gonna have a lot of different data views available, but this is on the inspection findings data view. And this is really cool because it's filterable. Each column is filterable by all of the different data fields. So right here, I've got it filtered to life-threatening severity, and it'll show, historically all of the life-threatening findings that you've had. And then on the left side, you can filter by the property name too. So you can say, hey, I feel like this property has been having a lot of issues. What's going on? And you can look historically and see maybe there's some data correlation there. Maybe, you need to talk to management, maybe, so I just think that this grid's really useful. It provides a ton of information, and everything is filterable. So I hope everyone can play with it and gain some insights about their inspections. Okay.
Not yet, right? You just have to run that one report right now, or you have to give them an export of the data view for the life-threatening items. So, but that is on our list to get that exigent life-threatening 24-hour turnaround report generated. So there'll probably be the full report for everything and then that 24-hour turnaround.
Is there an option in the tablet while you're on site, if you have access to Wi-Fi?
Mhm.
To be able, do we have to log into ProLinkHFA in order to get this report to send it to them?
You do have to log into HFA for this report. For this first version.
Which you can't do from the iPad. And through the
Uh,
They have-
internet.
Yes, the internet.
Yeah, you could log into ProLinkHFA on Wi-Fi too. It's just going to be not on that Procorem Inspect app. It'll be through ProLinkHFA. Good question. Knower of all things.
Yeah, I mean, you can click into any of these and it'll take you right to that inspection and you'll be able to see all the other areas that were inspected and the findings from this particular inspection. So you could, I guess, add those up and say, okay, I had 8 or whatever life-threatening ones, and then, but it's not integrated with 8823 like automatically. You just have to take a look at that count.
But I think on that inspection screen, there's a buildings tab where you can click and generate each button. So you can do it right while you're there and get everything in right while you're thinking about it. Like it doesn't autofill, but just while you're there on that inspection, it's a basic
I was just thinking out loud, so, and I guess, I think that was Erica's question where you can get the 24-hour thing. If you upload it, it is possible for someone else, like an admin or your colleague, to go into that site and print the report and send it to whoever immediately via text or email if you wanted to.
Yeah, you just have to be an assigned user on that property.
You would have to be an assigned user of that property. Okay. It couldn't be anyone that could.
Well, for HFA, you don't have to be on the property to actually get into it. It's just in the app that it pulls those down. So you could have someone else go into that property, run the report, and then they'd have a PDF and
Right.
email it to a management agent or whoever.
Right. That's if you didn't, if you were just using the app, but you would have to go into ProLinkHFA to actually run the report.
Right.
Someone else
Right.
could do it to you and send it to you.
They could, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna jump to some in progress items. BK, did you want to talk about some custom template stuff?
Oh, sure.
Right.
Let's see that screen from so close. Okay, so this is just a mock-up that is kind of rough draft for putting custom templates into HFA and making those supported in the app. When we met with a lot of you, there was feedback on, yeah, we like NSPIRE, but we want to add our own stuff and our own inspection items. And so we're trying to build out this functionality so that you can add your own custom inspection items and your own custom templates. So in this example here, you've got a list of different inspection types. The top one there is NSPIRE version 3.0. So that'd be like the standard one that came from HUD. That'll be available in the system. But you could create multiple ones for your agency down the road as well. This would be all managed in HFA in the admin utility area.
Would you be able to copy? So like,
Yeah.
We're gonna make you type each one in.
let me clarify that. Can you make it easier?
Okay, so yeah, if you notice, like if you click in that first row, then this is an example of like the edit screen of that template down below. A couple of the buttons at the top there are mark as published and copy template. So copy template is where you could take the NSPIRE standard one, make a copy of it, name it whatever you want, and then add items, delete items, that type of stuff. There's going to be some coordination around marking a template as published and marking it as active. And we need to know those things for the app to know if it's a template that we should be using or it's a template that was published, but now we don't want it to be active anymore. So there's going to be some flags that you'll have to set on that as well.
What happens if I have a template that was published? I have inspections that were completed. Now I tell the template's inactive now. But you said earlier I could go back and look at previous inspections.
Yes.
Will it be able to show me the inspection that's on a template that is now no longer available?
Yeah. I mean, all that will still be there. The last inspection and which template was used for that inspection.
But, and if you deleted a template, it won't affect the actual inspection or?
We're not letting you delete.
Well, it's on there. It's an option.
Yeah, that shouldn't be on there.
These are user story mock-ups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I think this one, in this example, we allow you to delete if you haven't published yet. As soon as you publish, that is
makes sense.
basically fine.
Can you do that?
No, I don't think we're gonna allow that because of the syncing with the tablet and we don't want to get out of sync. So
Right.
probably if you did want to make edits, just make a copy and make like a version 3.1 or whatever your next version is. So,
So if you're gonna do that, then your grid that has all your templates, there has to be a way to say, don't show me the inactive ones, only show me the active ones.
yeah, and that's just like a data view, so you could do any kind of filtering
Okay.
that you want on there. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have? So you'll notice there's a bunch of different tabs here. This is kind of rough mock-up. There's the name tab, then there's the template areas tab, categories, groups, classifications, and then finally inspection items. These are all the components that go into building out the inspection template. And this is all the data that we pull down when we're building the inspection template to show on the iPad or Android tablet. So this is, but this is all gonna be, it's all data driven, so you'll be able to set up your own information. So for right now, as an example with template areas, there's unit, inside, outside, that's the 3 standard areas for Inspire. But we're gonna open that up, you'd be able to create your own area, maybe miscellaneous or whatever you want. And you'd be able to select whether a building is required to be selected, units required to be selected, or maybe nothing. So when you're in the app and you create an area currently, if it's a unit area, it says, okay, select which unit this area goes with. If it's a building, it says, okay, what's the building that this goes with? But there may be an option that you don't have to choose either of those to try to make this as flexible as possible.
And we've had that problem with clubhouses.
Like for common area.
Yeah, common areas, whatever,
They want to say things in the clubhouse, but
Right.
it's not a building, it's not a unit.
right?
There's no retail space.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
commercial space.
Yeah, I think we heard an example of like playgrounds are not in Inspire, and so sometimes you want to inspect those on the outside.
Brian, I have a question. So when I make a template and I start with Inspire at the base, you're gonna stop me from taking away the Inspire stuff, because here's what I'm thinking. If I make a template and I take away accidentally an Inspire item, and then I use that template on a LiveTech property, I'm not meeting the Inspire standard.
Well, that Inspire template will be published in live. You won't be able to change that one because that'll be fixed in the system. But
Okay,
you'll be able to make a copy of it.
but I can't take, okay,
So I could technically use my own version of the Inspire inspection template for my LiTech inspections. And I'm just taking the risk that I am saying that I'm meeting my criteria. You
right,
guys aren't deciding that for me.
Right.
So I take version 3 and I add in playground and clubhouse or whatever. And then you Inspire changes and you release Inspire 4.
Yeah.
I do the
You
exact
would
same
have to go
thing.
to make a copy of that and then layer in your changes.
Okay.
Yep. So what else? I think, so the other tabs in here, categories.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just stay on this one, I guess. So categories is in the app, that's the one page that kind of gives you the high level grouping, so that you can mark all category off as like no findings. The groups, that's actually the name of the standard. And so when we first were building this, we actually just had standards and groups, and we didn't have that category level, but we kind of thought it would be more useful if we had a higher level category in there. And we actually like looked at the HUD app and they had that same kind of concept, and so we wanted to mirror that. But you'll be able to configure all the groups as well. And then classification, that's basically like the severity level. So you have life threatening, severe, moderate, low. So you can configure those. So maybe if you're doing completely different type of inspection, you could have your own severity types. So that's an option too. And then the last one, you can go to the next slide. This is where this is kind of meat and potatoes. This is where you're actually setting up the inspection items. There's a bunch of drop downs basically that you'll fill out. So after you complete all of those first tabs, then you get to this inspection tab, where you can add each item and you can select, okay, what's the area, what's the category, what's the group, classification. So you can fill out all those values that you've previously set up. We have the option for you to put in a version number if you want to track any kind of versions. That's Inspire has that, and we're pulling that in. But if you want some of your own version numbers for each individual item, you can do that as well. The corrective action timeframe days, so that's going to set the auto due date for when the corrective action needs to be finished. So you can configure that, and then description, criteria, all these other fields that go down the screen for that particular inspection item. That's,
Will it produce the same report in the same layout?
yeah, so we're gonna have to make some updates to the report to be a little more dynamic, because I think it's like very fixed with the 3 areas that you have with Inspire. So we're gonna have to make it so that it can support dynamic areas. But that's the goal, is that it'll be able to, whatever type of inspection you create, you'll be able to run that report and it'll understand that template. Yeah, and that description, that's the main one that shows up in the app. Each item.
Okay. So coming up, we're doing, I think we've mentioned this a couple times today already, but big announcement. Mobile Android and iPhone compatibility is coming up. We're working on that right now, and I think it'll be ready for May 15th.
That can be ready for May.
Yeah, we got a thumbs up from the back. All right, let's go. So that's huge. I mean, I think it's a lot easier to take photos with your phone than an iPad. So I think that the inspectors will like that. And it's going to be live on Apple and Google App Stores, Google Play stores. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the beta client feedback. So show of hands, who is able to get it working on their tablet or their iPad? Raise them high. All right. We got, oh, tablet, yes, iPad, no. Okay. So we got 4 in here. Did you have any issues getting it up and running on your iPads or tablets, or was it pretty smooth? Pretty easy? Okay. Should be a lot easier when we're in production. Any features you want to call out that you liked, or did you have time to really test and play around with the application at all?
Features it has now.
It has now. All right, so not too much testing going on.
No. So, is the production launch, is that going to be May 15th? That's the launch date.
That's the launch date.
Because
That's production.
that's production date.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, if you wanna test in UAT, because production is when we have to be engaged and have a contract in place for you to use this
Okay,
app in production.
right.
For you to test against your portfolio, that would still go through test flight in the Apple or Google Play. You would need to access it through the beta testing site for UAT.
So you have to download Test Flight, and then you would download. We give you a link, and you get we add you to a list in Test Flight on the back office side, and then you get the ability like, hey, do you want to install Procorem Inspect? You install it, and you can update it, and then you actually launch it from Test Flight. Yeah.
Yeah, and I apologize, we haven't really, I really wanted to kind of really get into the testing, but we haven't gotten to that stage yet. It seems like we're close, we're really
Close.
We wanna, I really wanna, go out with some of the asset managers.
Yeah.
And just like test it out just to see, so I can, either recommend it. or-
Yeah. See how it goes on the field.
Yeah, see how it goes in the field, and we can.
And that's how we recommend testing the application as well. If you
Right.
can bring it out in the field, then
Yeah.
that, if you're doing in UAT or using Test Flight, then that's the best way to test it. Use it how you're going to use it when you're doing, the work out there on an actual inspection. Right now with the UAT, if you have access to the ProLinkHFA UAT environment and a Procorem account with that same email address, as long as you download the app, you should be able to just sign in into Procorem Inspect, and it'll download all of your UAT portfolio data. Yeah. Nathan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nathan, he got it to work great. The other person is still struggling, so I actually brought it so you can help me.
Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think the features that he said that he liked the most were being able to take the pictures associated with the unit. And then the other thing that since we started using it, it really made us then rethink how we're gonna use the inspection module in ProLinkHFA.
Mhm.
And then maybe if we were done with the compliance audit, do the final review so that there's a lot more reporting functionality. So
Cool.
it's kind of, I guess, probably going to be a more thoroughly documented inspection, because right now we just write down what the findings are and don't tie it back to an NSPIRE. So there's a lot more documentation.
Checks and balances a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, hopefully we can get that working. We've been trying a little bit. Thanks for bringing that. Anything else? Anybody, any other feedback? Okay,
You need to connect it to the UNT environment, because what they want to see is
Yeah.
the data, you know, when you have a new property that's set up, how it mysteriously disappears
yeah,
or inspect.
right, and I
There's
think,
there's a lot of settings that, you know, stars have to align to make all that stuff work, but yeah, we're trying to make sure it's secure too. So,
I think that we can just log in on your account too. Yeah, we'll try. All right, so I guess we didn't do much testing, so I guess what features we'd like to add. Any features? You got one? Okay.
Sometimes we do have properties with no findings.
Mhm.
And in that case, there's like no report to generate. So we would still need it to say, we inspected these units and there were no findings.
Okay. Oh, like that idea. We taking little notes? Thanks.
That makes sense.
Awesome.
Say, here's all your findings and here's all the ones that were found.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we've also had feedback where people want to be able to add photos as proof that, you know, everything's okay in a unit, not just adding a finding and you know, recording like the negative stuff, but proof that the unit's good, the building looks good, things like that as well. So that could be some additional functionality that we added. And nobody's tried to upload because we just released this version. And so I doubt anybody's tried to upload yet. So last week we released version 3.2.8 of the application. It's now available on your Apple and Android devices. So you'll just click the update unless on test flight, unless it's already automatically updating. And then upon, this is kind of a quirky little thing, but upon first launch, so if you're downloading test flight, or if you're just on the Google Play Store and using a tablet, you download directly from the Google Play Store. The first time you launch the application, you have to click to switch to the UAT environment. You have to click our logo 5 times with your finger, and then it'll jump down and there'll be this little drop down of your different environments that you can enter.
you gotta spin around once too.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta clap your hands, pat your head. Yeah. But so that's just like a quirky little thing that you need to do if you're just opening the app for the first time to switch environments.
So it's very similar to Smart Docs. So if you're one of the beta testers and you're going between your UAT and fraud environments, you'll get used to doing this. One note, when you do switch environments, it deletes everything on your device. So if you're like testing and you switch, it pops up a message and says, are you sure you want to do this? It's going to delete all of the context on the, but it's just locally deleting stuff. So if you've already uploaded everything, you'll be fine. But
And it's just the data for Procorem Inspect. It's not all the data on the entire device.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can talk to my.
Okay, so this is our help site. I know it's a long link right there. I can send another email out with this link, but it's just our help. It offers support on how to, you know, maybe log in some feedback, or register a bug, or if you're having an issue, you want to reach out. It also gives you all the information on, you know, access requirements. You know, if you want to use UAT and test in UAT, I'll have all that information on having a Procorem account. You have to have the right to view inspections, the right to inspect. You have to be assigned to the property, assigned as an inspector on the property, things like that if you want to see it on the home page. So this is just a bunch of really helpful information. Do you want to view it? Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, so there's a help link on in the actual application. Andrea actually built all of this, so. Great. Yeah, jump in.
So you were just talking about how they, so if we create a new template, I was sticking lender, so we have lender inspections.
Mhm.
Right now, they're not associated with inspection, perform inspect. If we create a new template that's for lender inspections, how does that affect lender inspections functionality in HFA? I mean, what is that gonna do?
Good question.
Trying to remember,
Because right now it just has that results tab page that has all the,
yeah, it won't probably do anything with that, but I believe templates are available on any inspection type. You know, if that's true.
Pretty sure that's true.
and it'll just add the.
So, yeah, so you get
It's that time.
areas and findings as 2 new tabs on a lender inspection, I think. So,
Okay. So then results would just stay there and not be used.
yeah,
anymore.
results would be, yeah, and so maybe eventually we kind of start moving over
Rid of
to
that,
this
yeah.
and that could deprecate it in the future or something, but.
Okay, so it's going live on May 15th. We're really excited about this. We put a ton of effort over this last year. So I hope everyone enjoys it, and talk to Bree if you're interested. Who's gonna use it?
To talk to you guys, you know, the process for getting this assessed first and foremost and tested. And then planned for, budgeted for, all of those things you guys have an added enhancement, kind of separate application, so. I know there's a lot that goes into that process, and I just want to make sure that we understand the position after you guys get through testing. What we need to do to support you, and we make the most of timing so that you have this when your inspectors want it and need it, if they are interested in using it. So thank you so much. I think we have 10 or 11 beta clients involved in this project. I don't know if we've ever done anything like this in the past, really in this kind of organized fashion to develop a new, really it's like a new product for ProLink. And so I just really appreciate everyone for allowing your staff or for you directly to be involved in this process. I think it's like an awesome, very unique way for us to develop something new that the industry needs, that ties right into our other products. So yeah, just thank you very much for that. It's really, really great.
That's right. Thank you. Go Bree.
Okay, I'll